coming this way.
Hundreds of people spot UFOs all around the world. Most can be explained and dismissed. But remarkable videotaped evidence and credible eyewitness accounts of 3 recent sightings in Texas, Massachusetts, and Indiana prompt a thorough investigation with surprising conclusions.
These people saw something.
Stephenville, Texas, January 8, 2008. Businessman and private pilot Steve Allen is just outside of town when he spots something curious in the sky.
I look off to the east and I see a series of lights coming at us real quick.
Steve describes enormous blue, red, and white lights flying in formation at high velocity. The lights stop on a dime and hover over the nearby Erath County Courthouse.
What was remarkable about the lights was they was all moving in unison.
At the same time, 20 miles to the west in Dublin, Texas, Constable Leroy Gayton watches the unusual activity of the flying lights.
They had to have been attached to something because it was like a school of fish. They all shot off at the same speed at the same time.
Steve Allen sees the bizarre lights move in the shape of an arc, then a line vertically.
About 2 seconds later, they broke apart and had 2 sets of 7 lights flashing.
Suddenly, the 2 separate sets of lights vanish in an instant. But there's a third credible witness, an Erath County police officer with over 20 years of service. He asks that his identity not be revealed.
I was traveling on Highway 377 south loop through Stephenville, and I noticed some movement in the sky near the Erath County Courthouse.
He watches a large, 8-sided object with bright blue lights hover above the courthouse. The officer estimates the UFO to be approximately 600 feet long and 400 feet wide. He attempts to lock his patrol car radar gun on the craft to track its speed.
I reached up, hit the switch, and got a lock.
For the radar gun to lock, the outgoing beam must hit a solid surface and be reflected back. To indicate his speed, the targeted object has to be moving.
The rebound of the signal comes back into the unit off an object that I had pointed the radar at. It locked in very quickly.
According to the officer, the radar gun shows the craft is moving at a steady 27 miles per hour. Then, the craft begins to maneuver.
Here is when it started to do its 45-degree flying.
The craft flies off at a low altitude, and the patrol officer loses it behind a tree.
As it was pulling away, it accelerated up to 33 miles an hour. It was getting out of range of my radar, and that's when I lost the lock.
Back on the east side of Stephenville, Steve Allen watches a set of lights coming back across the sky from the other end of town, with 2 F-16s on its tail.
They was definitely in pursuit. Same heading, same course as whatever the other craft was. I think it appeared like they was just trying to stay with it or catch it, but they wasn't having much luck.
The next morning, Steve Allen calls Angela Joyner, a reporter at the local Stephenville newspaper.
Steve Allen said there were 2 F-16s chasing this thing that came over him. So there was a lot of talk about the military traffic. I started calling around different bases trying to find out something.
Angela contacts the nearby Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base at Fort Worth, formerly Carswell Air Force Base. She speaks with the base public affairs officer.
And he says, no, we didn't have any F-16s in the area.
The public affairs officer gives Angela and the public the military's first explanation for the strange lights. They conclude they were caused by the sun reflecting off two commercial airliners flying at high altitude.
I said, a reflection off of my shiny white ass is what it was. It wasn't no high-altitude jet airliners. Jet airliners usually don't have two F-16s chasing them at 1,000 foot above the ground.
Word of the sighting spreads. And now, with national media asking questions, the NASJRB Public Affairs Office lays out a second explanation.
About 2 weeks later, they sent out a press release, and it basically said, sorry, we made a mistake. We actually had 10 F-16s in your area from 6 to 8 p.m. on January the 8th.
Why the complete reversal of the military's claim that there were no F-16s in the area at the time of the sightings? More questions and suspicions begin to rise.
And it really made them angry. A lot of people felt that was put out as a cover-up.
Did the witnesses in Erath County see just F-16s? The reflections of high-flying commercial airliners? Or something truly unexplained? The Department of Defense turned down requests for interviews with any of the F-16 pilots based at the NASJRB Fort Worth. And no photo or video evidence surfaces to support the witness reports. But a month later, Constable Gayton gets his evidence. In February, he and his wife Wendy photographed a strange, bright light over Stephenville.
It was about 9:30, 10. We were on the way home, and we saw the light in the sky. So I just kind of leaned over on the window and just started taking pictures.
Wendy's photos are the first images of the type of lights witnesses had also seen racing over Erath County the previous month.
I was amazed at what I saw. The colors of it, it was red and green and blue and white. The pictures were just amazing.
Hours later that same night, Constable Gayton, patrolling Stephenville in his cruiser, also sees the light. He powers up his dashboard-mounted video camera and presses record.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was attached to or what. On the video, I can't tell.
In the weeks following the Texas sightings, a radar expert analyzes air traffic control radar data and finds something unusual. On January 8, 2008, dozens of Central Texas residents, including police officers, spotted strange objects maneuvering erratically in the night sky. Local military officials claimed that nothing more than fighter aircraft on routine training missions were in the air that night. But witnesses took the official explanation with a grain of